Matt Dearborn's in the house. Welcome
you guys.
to the Even More Stevens podcast.
The man responsible for all our success and all our suffering.
I blame you.
In life.
This is really cool, Matt. I haven't seen you in person. And when's the last time we saw each other?
Maybe on the last episode.
No,
I mean, it's been a
really?
while.
Physically? I think I saw you on the lot or with Gary. I know what it was.
What?
One of the DComs. They did a premiere. And I think you were there. And
Okay.
Yeah, I believe I saw you in passing.
What's a
But
decom?
that's-
A Disney Channel original movie.
Oh, okay, because decom for me means decompression. That's what you do when you come back from Burning Man. You have
No,
It's
no.
called decom.
It's called a decom. That's what
I
the
find
kids call
that-
it nowadays.
I like that that's the same.
Yeah, you got to. Basically,
Cool.
all it means is you come back and you have another party for like a week to decompress from the party you just had in the desert.
I find that so interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I don't
it
think
doesn't.
And I
you
think-
would like that.
It doesn't really work.
I think all Disney Channel stars should just go straight to the playa
They should.
after they're done from the decom.
We're definitely
decom.
putting it on the Disney map right now.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Matt, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure. It's great to be here. It's good to see you guys again. And what happens now?
Is this your first podcast?
I feel like I did a podcast before who was it? It was one of my other shows. Some actor. What was it? Oh, Nate Hartley had a podcast from Zeke and Luther, and it was not quite as put together as this. It was two guys in a car.
We're grown up, man.
Two guys in a car.
Yeah, you got some pretty high expectations
Yeah,
here.
well, actually, it sounds like it'd be fun to do this in a car because we could just take this on the road. That'd be kind of fun. But,
Yeah.
Season 2 of Even More Stevens.
One thing I've never asked, how did you come up with the idea? Because I never asked that, and I'm honestly a little curious.
That's a good question.
Honestly, it was somewhat autobiographical. I was, as a young kid, I was sort of obsessed with comedy, and basically between the ages of about 7 and 15, I didn't have one original thought that wasn't stolen from a comedian that off of Johnny Carson or Merv Griffin or Mike Douglas. So I was just a little jokester dude. So I created this like Louis Stevens character and sort of built out the world of you guys around that character. But it was bad, it was like
He was Spivey originally, right?
yeah, it was Spivey's kid brother from the Alan Sherman song.
Well,
Hello,
can
Mother.
you settle a debate for
Sure,
us here?
sure.
Because Spivey's kid brother, was that Spivey was the older brother?
No. So it was the idea.
So it wasn't about me.
No, but it was the idea was that you guys were the Spiveys, and everybody only knew him as
Okay.
the kid brother. They
Yeah.
didn't even
Okay.
know his name.
Right. He had no identity.
Got it. Okay.
Which I think is really beautiful when you think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it had evolved into a show about the younger sibling rivalry once Disney kind of tested it, but that wasn't necessarily how it started out.
Just if I can interject
Please
here, am
do.
I allowed to?
You
As
must.
much as you want.
You actually have to. That's
Yeah.
Part of it.
We talk a lot.
I mean, you guys don't really need guests. I'm just saying that. Sitting here for 15 minutes, like, it's hard to get a word in
Shit. Okay,
edgewise.
be quiet, guys.
It's only been 5 minutes.
We're just really excited to see you, Matt.
The first note I ever got when I pitched the show is Donnie is dead, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, they wanted one brother sister rivalry from the. I said, no, you need Donnie in there, because I wanted to just create this world of he was the complete outcast, and if it's just a sibling rivalry, it paints it too much back and forth, and I feel like we've all seen that show before and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, Nick.
No, it still hurts. It still hurts. I'm not gonna lie.
We were
So
actually,
I've told you that before?
Yeah. So
yeah.
So we've discussed this already, but since you're here now, it's great. I had gone back to school during the filming of Even Stevens, and I was studying philosophy, so I was on this little kick of trying to really analyze everything and write out these great essays about it. And so I wrote an essay called A Meditation on Donnie, and presented it to you as an argument for why Donnie needed a meatier part in the show.
and what was your thesis, essentially, in that? You said it's vital?
There was some kind of, there's basically, I explained that Donnie has more depth than the show was giving him. And I was trying to be serious and funny at the same time. I don't think either worked successfully by Matt's expression. And Matt just took a deep breath and educated me on script writing and how there's an A storyline and a B storyline and how both are essential. You need the B storyline to make the A storyline work, but the B storyline is always going to be the B storyline. And then he also told me about how Disney actually wanted to kill Donnie.
Legit.
Legit wanted
Donnie's
to kill
dead.
Donnie.
You
is
need
dead.
a shirt that
Hey,
says Donnie's
I got an
dead.
idea for the next show. Donnie is dead. This is great. No, but
I vaguely remember that interaction. You're not the first actor to ever come to an executive producer with pitches for their character.
Just maybe the first with an entire essay, though. Like
It's
that
the
was
first
actually pretty
essay I've
impressive.
seen.
That was colorful.
I don't think he was impressed.
No, it was nice. It was nice. But I do remember you saying that you had some idea for some story arches, and it's usually a story arc, but I didn't. I didn't really point that out. I don't know that.
Not then.
I probably still make that mistake.
It couldn't have been too big of a coincidence, though, because he's studying philosophy, and I think in the next episode, Scrub Day, he has this little arc where he has like the bald head and then the toga, and he's playing the philosopher.
Maybe
right?
He's playing Gandhi.
That's right.
Yeah.
I played
Was that-
Gandhi.
Yeah.
Good memory.
So what about Beans? What happened with the creation of Beans?
Beans is legendary. He's like, you guys know the story of the casting session where he came in and. Do you guys know that story?
He's told us it, but we'd like to hear it from you.
Yeah.
Because I forgot a lot of it, too, so maybe you can help me.
Well, okay, so we needed to skew younger. Yeah. We needed a younger presence. And so we saw, as you do for a recurring character, that we weren't sure how much he was going to be in it. You see a lot of people. You see 20, 30, 40 people. Beans came in, Steve came in and told a joke. The reading wasn't great, but he told this joke, and it was kind of like, it was a lot like Donnie coming in to pitch story arches. You were sort of going, oh, this poor kid, like, and you remember the joke. It was something about I'm a Moroccan and it's about a pirate and stuff, and the 6 producers were sitting in there, kind of going, oh boy, this poor kid. We should really tell him not to be in the business. And then, so the session ends and everybody's tired, and it's 6:00, and we're sort of like looking at headshots and going, what about this? What about this? And then I don't even know who said, what about the kid with the joke? And it was this weird moment where everybody's going, no, that's the stupid. Wait a minute. What about that kid with the joke? What about the fucking kid with the fucking joke?
Yeah,
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And
One
the
rule.
next thing I know, it's like this kid's in the show and he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then we were pitching around. I just said, I don't care what the character is. All I know is this kid is obsessed with bacon. and other than that, like, that was the pitch. So that was my thesis on Beans.
Wow.
He loves bacon.
Well, so what about the whole storyline with the parents being aliens that we never saw?
I don't remember much about that one. I don't remember.
I thought that was genius.
Yeah, it was great.
I do want to jump back here because I know you said Spivey was originally autobiographical, and you saw yourself as Lewis in the show. What about the other characters? Were they also people in your life?
Yeah, was Ren? You didn't have an older sister, right?
No, I just felt like everybody around me was a little more put together, and it was just sort of. I think Donnie was probably the guy I wanted to be. I was kind of athletic, but always. Like getting my ass handed to me on the football field, and
almost visions of like who you wanted to be, stuff like that. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of.
I want to thank you for having been this very sweet. When we did our, remember we did a Zoom reunion, union, and it was really sweet because I think you had reiterated something I'd heard you say in the past, and executives had told me that you said that I'd given you one of the better auditions that you'd experienced.
Yeah. I've never,
let's talk about
Chrissy
that.
just wanted to bring that up right now.
I've been relatively mute. Okay, mute. I want to, yeah.
Because it's true. I mean, if it wasn't true, I wouldn't say it.
Yeah.
Well, I do. But anyway, you, honestly, you didn't even have to do anything. You walked in, and by the first step you took in that room, I said, "That's her."
Yeah, she had
That was
it.
just.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But you were all
I
put
love hearing
together
that.
in your little blue blazer, and you were just.
I did not come to fuck around.
Yeah.
No, you were. It was
I
just
bought
like,
that on credit, and that we had to pay for that suit. Okay.
But I think it's just funny for anyone who's like pursuing this business that so much of the audition has nothing to do with your read. I mean, obviously the read is important, but it's like they always say it's like you have to make yourself memorable in some way. And I used to do the stupidest shit to try to get a job. I mean, I'd bring in a can of like beans or some shit and open the can of beans.
You
and start
should do
eating.
that, Steven.
I know, right?
You should be
I've
like,
had-
this is my old identity. This is who I am.
yeah.
Glad I told that joke.
Yeah, I've had casting directors say, "Please, no props," before, and you take those weird risks just because at least they remember you out of like the
fucking
50
kid
to
with the
100 people
fucking
that
joke.
come.
But I gotta tell you, let's not put some bad info out there, because I think a lot of times I've seen it mostly fail, because
For sure.
honestly, what you two have in common, even though the auditions were vastly different, was it was your essence. It was really the essence of who you were that got you the part. It wasn't shtick. It wasn't the blazer. It was just that put together, in your case, the put together vibe, and in your case, the sort of, I don't know what that you still have it. It's that, kookiness or inherent
Well, thank you.
danger. You're dangerous, Steve.
I feel that. No, but you are dangerous because you have
Unpredictable. Let's say it like let's
Unpredictable.
say it. Let's
Yeah.
put it like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I am not put together though, Matt. Can we just talk about it?
Yeah, that's acting, I guess.
I actually, I think what was really lovely growing up in such a safe environment like our set, one, you were not a creepy creator dude that we've heard things and rumors of in the past, but you've been such a wonderful and kind person to all of us. I feel like anytime we've tried to reach out, he's been accessible to us and supportive.
Yeah, no, I mean the door, especially when you're on a TV show, if to have the opportunity to walk into the room and sit down with the creator of the show and even have the privilege of discussing your part is I don't know how common that is, but it's nice to be able to do that.
You've continued to work with Disney over the years. What changes have you seen in just the development of children's programming?
When Even Stevens came about, I felt like it was flying under the radar. I felt like kids TV wasn't that big of a deal. It was kind of the minor leagues and stuff like that. And I felt like that our show was kind of the first show that, and I'm not trying to say that Even Stevens created this marketplace, but it also sort of was right in the pocket of the wave in terms of it becoming a big business. And so there's a lot more scrutiny now and a lot more corporate decision making and stuff like that. So we were sort of just allowed to do what we wanted to do. I mean, sure, there were notes and things like that, but now every fucking thing is it. Are we allowed to swear?
You are absolutely. You already have too. So
Yeah.
fuck shit balls.
We keep track of
Even more
all the
Stevens.
cussing, and Christy is winning.
I'm actually
we have
I'm
a
actually
tally.
the worst cusser on this.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so by the end of it, and I don't really do that kind of TV anymore, but all of the decisions are just testing and, whether it's the title or the wardrobe or the cast, it's just tested to the nth degree.
How do they test? This has never been told to me. I'm sure it costs millions of dollars.
It's expensive and I don't love it.
Have you sat in on tests
Oh
before?
yeah. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why they do it.
So folks
But I don't
sign
know.
up and then they come and sit at the Disney.
Yeah, there can be different.
building.
There's different ways to do it. Sometimes they, the people hand out. Do you want in the mall to?
I did that job once.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and I found a way to kind of like cheat the system. you would just give someone a handful of them and say, listen, you don't have to go. Just show up and bring all 5 of these with you and hand them to the person, please. And people would literally go do that for me. Okay. And you get paid, like, I forget what it was, $10 for every person that shows up. So that was one of my gigs,
hustles.
one of my hustles before I became a big Disney star.
My dad and publicist actually went to one of the early screenings of Kicking and Screaming that way.
Really?
Yes, they saw the guy in the Burbank Mall going, "Hey, do you want to see a free premiere?"
Yeah.
And it was super awkward because my dad and publicist was there, and of course, director was Jesse Dillon.
They're like, we need to see more of that kid.
It's like, no, but they show up, and of course, the director and the writer and the producer is there, and it's like, wait a minute, we just spent 5.5 months with you on set.
They knew.
Your opinion might not be totally valid here.
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
the one testing I did like was what they call dial testing. So there's 2 types. One, they show the TV show to a group of, say, 5 or 10 8-year-old boys, and then they come in and have a moderator ask them questions. And there's a lot of room dynamics within the 10-year-old boys because the alpha boys are like, I hate that character, and the rest of the boys are going, yeah, me too. And suddenly, like, it skews the whole evening thing. But dial testing, everybody's standing there or sitting watching the show, and if it's funny or interesting, they go pleasurable, and if it's not, so you can literally watch this graph, like this scene that you think is a hysterical, and then suddenly the little thing that you're watching is just going, and you go, oh, I guess those jokes aren't playing.
Yeah,
but it felt a little more honest,
I mean, there's got to be some value in it, especially as a writer, because you can. I think the worst thing is to go through all that time and expense to create something and have no one respond to it at all or not relate to it. At least now you kind of have like this almost real-time reaction from everybody that allows you to
honestly
make changes.
What I feel is the most valuable is being in the little soundproof room watching the boys or girls watching the show. Is like, I feel like I don't even need to ask them questions. You can tell if someone is engaged and laughing and giggling and stuff like that. That's all you really needed.
Matt, your daughter is a little bit older than me, but I do remember us having some really good talks sometimes throughout our years together. And it was really sweet because I always felt like there was a paternal side to you when it came to what you were putting Ren through. And like when she had her heart broken by Bobby Deaver, I feel like you were very much like close to the narrative on that. How much of your, I know your close relationship to your daughter, is it just your daughter? Forgive me my ignorance, right?
One daughter, yeah.
But how much did you draw from that?
Quite a bit. It wasn't just you, it was just sort of kid issues, and just see what, she was very emotional, like most kids, and everything is high drama, and so so she'd come in freaking out about something that happened at school today, and I'd be like, so what happened?
You're like, dial.
Let me write this down. Poor girl.
It allows you to sort of, if you have any powers of empathy, to sort of go, wow, I guess that little thing is a huge deal, and so you go, how can I turn that into a story?
Well, that's a lot of Disney acting. That's what Disney acting is, it's not, oh my God, it's not, oh my God, I got an F. It's, oh my God, I got an F.
High drama. Yeah. Well, I think that, as you were mentioning, our show was elevated, but also grounded initially. And then we also, so the 2 things I wanted cleared up, because we just don't remember. We're like piecing things together, community wise. So we had a first round of writers, Eric Van Lowe and team.
Right.
And then they were with us for 6 episodes? Yeah. And then we went dark. How long were we dark for?
I want to say 6 weeks.
Yeah. That's it?
Maybe 8. 6 to 8.
I mean, from what I recall, just because, like I said before, that's like I took off. I was like, I have a job when I come back, so I'm going to take advantage of some of this money and just go travel.
You went to Italy.
Yeah.
So gorgeous.
And see, I had no idea of this. This is all new.
You were after that.
Yeah. You weren't born yet.
I wasn't born yet. Beans was still an alien.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then with the pilot, I am interested in that too. Kind of working backwards here, but we did our pilot. I was 14 and Shia was
12.
12, and I saw Greg Hobson at our reunion yesterday. We had a very small little gathering.
Yeah.
And our editor was like, oh, yeah, I remember by the time we came back, which I guess was about a year or so, I was 16 the first day we were on set shooting principal photography. So that's how I know it was my birthday when March 20th.
Okay.
So
Let me jot that down.
yeah, please, remember. But
And
Greg,
I'll need your sizes too. Just I'll send you something nice.
see, thank you. So Greg said that he grew like 4 inches or something. Is that true?
The editor grew 4 inches.
No.
Wait, I'm confused.
Shia.
This whole podcast thing is a lot for me. Okay.
You're doing so
All right.
good. though.
Yeah, he did.
track.
Shia
Yeah,
grew a bunch between
he
the
did.
pilot and
He
the,
did sort of lean out. Yeah.
and he just kept going, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just got taller and
yeah.
taller, like his dad, because his dad.
But anyway, was there a question buried in there?
No, it was more of an experiential.
Oh, okay.
No, I guess I needed confirmation. You're right on how long it was in between the pilot and the principal photography.
I believe
My
it-
birthday, March 20th.
Just to remind you if you forgot.
I finally realized what
all
this
of
is all
that.
about.
It's about me.
This is no.
I knew
It was 6 to 8.
Fuck with
months.
me.
I'll like. You look, my memory. There's been a lot that's gone on. For
Well, you
me.
said it was March 16th.
No, I'm just saying it was 6 to 8
That's my
weeks.
birthday.
Oh, it was not 6 to 8 weeks.
I know. Okay.
Between the pilot and the
Oh,
and the,
Oh,
and the
shit.
principal photography.
no, I got no idea.
yeah.
I was honestly, I was.
I'm not
I
sure how
was
anyone
working
would
on
remember
another
that at this point.
I was on Beverly Hills 90210 as a producer.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I would like to talk about that because you've done a lot more than even Stevens. You've been around for a while. What shows have you created or been a writer on? And
Well, at the beginning, I started doing hour dramas and sort of lighter hours, and then what happened was, in the mid to late 90s, everything became procedural. There were very few. I wrote soft hours like high school dramas and people and relationships and stuff like that. But then everything became a medical show or a cop show in the late 90s, and there was nothing for me to do. So I was in New Orleans, and it just so happened that the NatP convention was going on, and which barely exists anymore, but it was a big TV convention, and I ran into an executive at a bar. Again, as I mentioned earlier, kids TV was kind of like under the radar, and this guy Lee Gaither, a great guy, I just ended up talking to him at a bar, and he was just like, I said, yeah, I was blah blah blah. I gave him my credit. He's like, yeah, you should write a pilot for us. And I'm like, sure, let's get it. Could we get another drink? Yeah.
It's NOLA after all.
But honestly, I was just, I think I was on a break on 90210, and I said, yeah, I wrote, and they paid me $10,000 to write that pilot, and it was just I didn't really even think about it.
wait, what pilot did you write?
Even Stevens.
Spikey's Kid
you wrote
Bro.
that
So
at that time?
yeah,
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I was still consulting producer on 90210, and while we were even doing casting, so I was sort of jumping back between places, and I really didn't think it was kind of my future. I ended up working in kids TV for another 15 years or something like that, but just because it was kind of easy, it came easy to me for whatever reasons.
Well, and you had pretty good relationships with like Gary Marsh and them.
well,
right?
eventually, but I never knew them before that.
Oh, really?
Wow.
No,
it was
they-
mostly Sean and.
No, this guy that he met was the guy that pulled
The
him
old,
into
that was my entree into kids TV. Really, was just this guy that I
Drinking
met
at a bar.
Yeah, drinking
Yeah.
at a bar.
Well,
which
there you
just
go.
Yeah.
Well, Alf was like created from a guy who was like on heroin. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, that's
Oh,
what
wow.
Permanent Midnight's about.
Oh, I never knew that.
The creator of Alf. Yeah, he
Oh.
was like, yeah,
It's Jerry Staller. No.
not the same.
What is that? What do you see like, or where do you see yourself going as a writer, as a creator, or what's like? Where would you like to be if it's not kids programming? Which I'm sure that's not your
Like
kind of-
right now?
Sure. Like
Yeah.
what do you want to create?
I mean, honestly, I'm at the point where, it's just I write every day and I like to do it. And so I'm not really trying to fit into any mold. I'm just doing what I want to do. I'm writing a heist movie right now about 5 stoners that pull off a revenge heist against a gangster. And whether it'll ever see the light of day, who knows? It's kind of like Ocean's 11, but it's called High Five.
That's awesome.
And
It's got a part in there for me, right?
oh yeah,
buddy?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
absolutely. But honestly, I'm just about sitting down every morning and getting my pages in and spending the time doing it. And whether anybody ever gets the joy of seeing it or reading it or filming it, that's out of my hands.
It's just the practice of getting up every day
Yeah.
and doing it. Do you have like a benchmark every day that like I got to accomplish 5 pages a day, or like
It's more about hours.
hours?
I mean, I like to sort of log 2 to 4 hours every day.
Every day.
And once I do that, I feel like, in prehistoric times, it'd be like I killed my food for that day,
Yeah.
and then I can just go about whatever else is capturing my attention.
So 2 questions. One, since you said that you were, you kind of were a student of comedy, did you ever try doing stand-up comedy? And how did you get into writing comedy scripts? Did you go to school for that, or was it just something you just picked up and just started doing?
No, it was, the first question was, what was it?
Did you ever
Stand-up
I did
Yeah.
do stand-up. I did it one time in San Francisco, and it was at the heyday of sort of all the Robin Williams, Dana Carvey, San Francisco comedy scene. There was a place called the Holy City Zoo, and I went down there and I said, I have 5, they'd let anybody get up. I said, I have about 5 minutes. And I did my 5 minutes, and then I got off the stage, and the host said, you were out there for a minute and a half.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
Oh, yep, I've been there.
The guy.
Yeah, that's always fun.
So, yeah, I don't know. It was just too taxing on my
Oh.
psychology, and I appreciate what those guys do. But it wasn't for me.
No, it's got to be one of the things that I respect the most out of anyone that is in this business is comedy. Like stand-up comedy, you have to have just like a gut of steel to get up there and do that. And you're right, like a minute feels like an hour when you're on stage in front of people trying to deliver a line. Like I can't see myself ever trying that.
And just audiences react so differently. You get one audience Monday that'll just be rolling on the floor
Do you
at
do it, Steve?
Yeah.
I did it for a little bit,
Uh-huh.
here and there, but
Yeah,
not,
it's tough.
yeah, not not a bunch, But yeah, I still do open mic nights, just to mess
Yeah.
around, try out ideas.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you didn't go to school for writing.
No.
How did you find your opportunity? into
Well,
it?
I'm going to back up a little bit and just say, my mother was an interesting character. She was addicted to talk shows. Late at night, she'd smoke and fold laundry on the couch and watch Johnny Carson. And I've been an insomniac since I was about 3 years old. And so
That's fun.
So invariably, I'd end up, as a kid sitting on the couch with my mother at 11:30 at night while she's folding laundry and smoking up a storm, watching Carson, and I loved it. I loved just the way that the guests talked to Johnny and just the whole familiar vibe they had. And I was just thinking, I don't know what the fuck those guys do, but I want to do what they're doing. I want to have relationships like that. I want to know those people that are taking creative risks and stuff like that, although I probably didn't put it like that at the time. And that, honestly, that's all I really knew about entertainment. I didn't even understand that like there was such a thing as somebody that wrote scripts. I thought probably if you asked me, like the actors were just really smart and they showed up and they made shit up. Went to a little bit of college at Sac State, which is Sacramento State.
Oh,
which is,
you're from Sacramento.
yeah.
Okay.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I popped around, but yeah. So
That's
I
where we were set. That's where
Yeah.
Even Stevens was set.
But, I sort of fumbled around there and got a job with a slideshow producer. That felt like show business to me in Sacramento, carrying sandbags in 105-degree heat. And
Oh my God.
just, being like that guy. And I started driving trucks and prop trucks and grip trucks and things like that. And I met this guy named Carl Schaefer who created a few TV shows. Feel free to Google him. And he said, you should be a writer. And I'm like, oh, really? And so then I sort of took it more seriously and wrote a few things. And I had pretty immediate success. I read a couple of books back in 1986 when I started. Like you go to the bookstore and there were like 3 books on screenwriting. I think it was like Sid Field and there's Art of Dramatic Writing and maybe one other one. Nowadays you go into Barnes and Noble if you can find one, and it's like a whole floor. And but anyway, so I wrote a couple of things and had some quick success and
Did Carl kind of mentor you through that process then?
I wouldn't call it mentoring. I think he just took me seriously. And this was back in the day where sort of best idea wins. This is like early 80s in a sense of like, nowadays everything's getting shows on the air is all about packaging and resume.
What the toy's going to look like.
And just the business part of it. But he was just a young guy from USC who pitched an idea to GTG, which was CBS, Grant Tinker's company, and CBS. And I was sort of watching that because we were friends. And he says, why don't you write the sides? So he sold this pilot TV 101. Why don't you write the sides for the actors? And so I did, and they were funny and stuff. And there was literally, I wasn't there, but he tells me there was this moment where with all the executives and Tinker and everybody, who said, those sides are really good. Who wrote those? And he says, oh, this guy named Matt Dearborn. And so at that point, it was easy to get me on staff.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're on staff.
Yeah, story editor on that show. And then
so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of the most amazing things about anyone in your life that takes you seriously or believes in you. It doesn't take much. It just takes one person. All they have to do is say it once sometimes. And that seed is planted. And you have like now this new confidence in yourself to keep going in that direction. And that's happened to me in my life with every stage from, I got kicked out of school and never would have gone back to school if it wasn't for my mentor at that time, who not only said, you really are a dumb Italian, but he also believed that I was, smart enough to that. And his belief in me is like propelled me from that point forward. But the same thing in acting, it's like one person sees you and believes in you and gives you that confidence to be like, I can do this.
Yeah, I think, Matt, you were that definitely for me. I don't know how you feel about him, but.
Oh, God, yeah. It was, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have people that believed in me.
Right.
It's one of those things. It can't all come from deep within. It's got to have some type of external source for sure.
Yeah.
How important is it to be likable? Because it seems like, forgive me, but I am the only female here, that men in our industry seem to be more sort of like, granted, there's the idea that they're forgiven for more, but rather my question is, in general, yes, being professional is important. Yes, showing up is important, right? Knowing your shit. But how important is being likable versus just being authentically maybe who you are, even if it's disagreeable?
That's a good question. I think you're talking about for actors? Because I think actors and writers are a little different, and I think crew people, it's a little bit different. And I'd say the likability factor is kind of important. Forget the genderness of it. But for a writer, you in TV, you're sitting with them in the room, and it is just a very intimate, intense situation. And if you get a dud in there, oh my God, it can not only is it a drag, but it can ruin a dynamic. I think for actors, if you're super talented, there's a lot. Well, I mean, I think we all know this. Like, if there's a difficult actor, but the guy or girl can bring the goods, it's like, it's like, this is the price we pay.
Do you think that's okay, or do you think like that needs to be sort of?
I'd prefer it was the other way, where everybody was just. I mean, I've worked with actors that bring so much more than their talent, like are actual coaches on the floor kind of thing, just by the way that they handle their work ethic.
Yeah.
It makes everybody's life so much easier.
Well, I think it changes the entire.
I wish I could name names, but I don't really want to go down that road.
We don't need to.
It's okay. Yeah. You could talk about how difficult it is to work with me on set. It's all right. No.
Everybody at this table was cinchy, and everybody on that show was cinchy. Shia, Virtue,
What's
Donna.
cinchy mean?
Easy.
Really?
Easy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You weren't born in the 60s?
A cinch. It's a cinch.
That's so cool. I like that word.
So you worked on 90210 as a producer?
Yeah.
Were you ever on location with the show?
No.
'Cause
Oh, yes, I was. I take that back.
it's
Yes,
funny.
I was.
One of my earliest experiences with show business was because of 90210. They used to film in Altadena. The house for the family was on Altadena Drive, and it was like half a mile from my house. And so it became, such a huge success that kids would line up across the street whenever they were filming on location just waiting for a moment to see any of the stars of the show.
Yeah.
And there was one day I was walking down just to catch it, like a glimpse of the excitement. And there was this one side of the street that you couldn't walk on because that's where all the trailers were, but I wasn't aware of what was going on. And I was on that side of the street. And then I realized, oh shit, I'm past the barricade. And out comes Brian Austin Green out of one of the trailers. What's that?
Bag. If you're on a writer.
Oh, that's
on the
his
show,
name. Bag. I
Brian
got
Austin
you.
Green. We'd say, we'd be pitching ideas. What if Bag?
That's so funny.
Brian
So
Austin
Bag comes out of the trailer and he's walking like right next to me, and we get a little hello, and I'm probably, I don't know, 16 at the time or something like that. And it was just very casual and cool, and like all these kids come, like these girls run across the street to try to get an autograph with him. And of course, everyone's rushing him to set because he has to work, and I understand that now. But he kind of shunned these kids and like wouldn't sign the autographs because he didn't have time. And again, I understand that when you need it on set, you got to get to set. But I'll never forget the feeling, that the look those kids had on their face when they got rejected. And I thought to myself, if I were him, I never would have done that. And
Well,
then,
his karma got him in the end with his
then-
wife Megan. So
oh, well, who knows what the story is behind all that?
He was actually a nice guy.
Yeah, no, he seemed like a nice guy.
but you had a moment there.
Well, yeah, because even to me, like when we kind of like happened to be right next to each other, he acknowledged me and was, sweet to me. But it was just the rejection that I saw on the girls' faces that I thought I would never be that guy if I were him. And then 5 years later, I'm in that kind of position, and I've never. If there's ever been anyone that came up and you had a moment to kind of like make their day, I would always take that moment. Yeah.
Question, real quick, because we're wrapping up fairly soon, and that makes me sad.
No, we can't.
I know. Do you think that Even Stevens deserves a reboot? That's the cut down right there.
Crickets.
I would rather do the heist show. Let's do the heist show.
I would. Yeah, I mean, sure. But I'd like to watch it. I don't want to participate in it.
You would
I
give
be-
okay, you could do this. with
Yeah,
unnamed.
in my blessing. I think we've tried to. There's been a few incarnations. I think we had one where Tom Burkhart and I have spoken about it, where you and Twitty get married.
Oh, what?
And you have a
That
son
is
that's
funny.
just like Lewis.
Of course
That
we do.
is funny.
Oh, that'd have been interesting.
I would buy that.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's kind of hard. I mean, let's just be real about this. You can't really do a reboot of the show without the Lewis character. It's just, it's almost
Or a
impossible
new
to
Lewis,
do.
I guess.
That's what we would
Yeah,
pitch.
yeah.
We'd
So
find-
you have the new Lewis.
You'd have to find a very talented.
Of course, you'd have a kid
Yeah.
that is who is essentially
Good luck.
your rival throughout life.
But that
right?
does
Your
feel
nemesis.
feels right, because if Twitty and Ren got together, she would be the Donna, he would be the Tom Virtue.
yeah.
Like that very much. That feels
I think
energetically.
that would have been a funny show.
So run
Yeah.
with it.
I'm ready.
Call Burkhart. He'll run it.
sure.
What about
Warren and-
Donnie and Coach Tugnut?
Where are they now?
Are you pitching shows again?
No, not at all. But
We just want to know where our
but think
characters
about-
are.
But I
Think
will
about
say,
it.
since you're doing a heist show, I bought
It's a
the
movie,
I
it's
bought
not a show.
a movie. I bought the rights. This is a movie too, to an amazing like American drug, like true American drug story. I'll have to let you know about that.
He's pitching. He's
Yeah,
pitching.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you have? What's your best pitch? Go.
Oh God. Okay, so yeah, I was thinking Beans becomes one of these pig vigil guys. You see the vegan.
He's
protesters
vegan now.
out there. Yeah, Beans becomes a
This
vegan.
is where he is now.
He creates the new meat fakin. It's like a fake bacon. Becomes one of these.
Becomes a
okay.
mogul.
mogul. One of those. What?
See that?
He sees it.
Can we talk after the podcast? And
Yeah. My people will
let's
call
do
you
a
your
coffee
people.
and we'll
Wait,
kick around.
Do I get a coffee?
No.
He doesn't get a coffee. I'm so proud and happy that Matt took the time to be with us today, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously.
I hope
fun.
it
great to see
wasn't
you.
painful.
No, it was
Yeah.
great. It was easy. It was fun.
It was the cinch.
It was
The
cinchy.
cinch.
It was
The
a
cinch.
We love you, Matt. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
All right, guys. See you next week on Even More Stevens.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of the Even More Stevens podcast. For clips from our pod, go ahead and check out the Podco YouTube channel. And for exclusive weekly bonus content, join our Patreon. Links in the description.